And hello there, my students. This is your favorite teacher, Mr. Jacobson, coming to you again. Today we're going to discuss Greece and the Persian Empire. We're going to learn a little bit about the Persian Empire, its founder, and how the conflict between Persia and Greece begins and how it ultimately ends, and in between. So I'm excited to be here with you. Let's begin. All right, so we have Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great is the founder of the Persian Empire. When he was a very he was you don't get called great unless there's a reason, and they did consider him to be great, not just because of the size of the empire that he had when he died, and that it continued to grow, but that he allowed his people within the empire, whether the people were Persian or were Sumerian or were Jewish or whatever, he allowed them to keep their own customs. And this made people like him because he wasn't trying, yeah, he conquered them, yes, he wanted taxes from them, but he didn't want to necessarily change them. He allowed them to keep their identity, keep their religion as long as it didn't, threaten the sovereignty of his empire, and it didn't teach to overthrow his empire. He was okay with it. So he let his people have their own customs and beliefs so they didn't have to change who they were. And because people were still allowed to be who they were and keep their family heritage and their religion and their God, people were more willing to be conquered by him because he was only really after their money and to support the empire. So they call him great for that's one of the reasons why they call him great. Of course, he dies in 529 BC, and he has his son who kind of succeeds him. So his son's name is Cambyses. And after his death, Persia was without a clear leader and in rebellion. So Cyrus has a son. His son's name is Cambyses. After Cambyses, Persia is kind of disarray, and then that led the way for Darius to rise to power. And Darius is going to kill his rivals for power, and he's going to become the next king of Persia. So it doesn't stay a continual line from Cyrus to Cambyses and Cambyses' son and Cambyses' son's son and all that. It it's fragmented. Cyrus doesn't have a continual reign like most empires do, whether it's father to son. So Darius is going to take over. He's going to win over the empire. And something that Darius did is he organized his empire into 20 provinces. So he has this massive empire. He's trying to figure out how can I possibly rule this huge place. So he breaks it up into 20 provinces. And because he broke it up into 20 provinces, he then gave 20 governors, one for each of those provinces. Those governors are called satraps. And satraps, they ruled the province for him. So we've seen something like this before. It was pretty smart of Darius to do this because you just can't rule something that big without organization. So the satraps provided a set of organization. The satraps collected taxes. They even served as judges in that area, and they put down rebellions. And if they couldn't put down rebellions, then they were removed from a satrap because Darius wanted people that knew how to do their job. So Darius became very powerful. He called himself the King of Kings. So during the Persian Empire, they had a religion that isn't very well known even today, unless you're like me, who is a nerd and we study these things. So the religion was called Zoroastrianism. It's a big word. Try saying that out loud. Ready? Zoroastrianism. That's better. Good job. Persian religion that believed that there was only one God and he created all things. I forgot the other all. forgive me for that. Um, so Zoroastrianism is a monotheistic religion. Not a lot going on around this time. The only monotheistic religions around this is around 650 BC is when Zoroastrianism is developed. The only other monotheistic religion that we are aware of is in history is Judaism. So these are the two monotheistic religions. We have Judaism that came about 2000 BC or greater, and we have Zoroastrianism which came about around 650 BC. So they believe that God, which is one God, He is one, He created all things, two, He is the force for good, and that humans have the choice to choose good and evil, and in the end, good will win, meaning the one true God will win in the end. So no matter how much evil you see in the world, in the end, good will prosper, was the thoughts of Zoroastrianism. So here we have a picture here of, I believe this is the God who's the one true God, whose name is Mazda. Kind of like the car. Strange, huh? And I can't remember the name of the other being that is the evil one, but it's kind of like the devil. Interesting stuff. So King Darius the First, he built many roads, and Persians were very fast at delivering messages. That's good because if you can get your messages out quickly, then you can communicate quickly, which means you can lead and guide and direct the affairs of a empire swiftly and efficiently. One road was called the Royal Road. It was the 17 miles long. Built new capital of Persepolis. While king, the Greeks rebelled and began the Persian Wars. So here we go. So the Persian Empire, they conquer up into the Asia Minor, so where modern day Turkey is. Well, the Greeks had colonies out in Asia Minor, which was on the other side of the Aegean Sea. And so the Persians conquer it, and now the Greeks are about to come after them, even though the Persians haven't yet gone into Greece, the country itself. But since they conquered their colonies, the Greeks are pretty upset, and so they're coming after them. So in 499 BC, Greek cities in Asia Minor rebelled against the Persian rule. They didn't like this, so you have the colonies rebelling. Some Greek cities tried to help. The Persians stopped the revolt, but Darius wanted all Greeks to pay. So the colonies rebel. They are Greek. Some Greek cities from Greece, like Athens and other city states, try to come to their aid. The colonies are put down. Darius is mad. He wants all Greeks to have to suffer and to wants all Greece to be conquered. So we had the Battle of Marathon. The Persian army prepared to fight Athens on the plains of Marathon. This started the Persian War. So Marathon is about 25 miles or so away from Athens, the city. The Greeks waited for the Persians to attack first. So you have the Persians, you have the Greeks. The Greek soldiers were up in the hills areas and they were kind of hiding. They knew where they were, they just didn't know where all of them were or how many there were. So the Persians just kept waiting to see what the Greeks would do. The Greeks wouldn't move either, so it was basically they're seeing who was going to make the first move. Well, eventually the Persians decide, you know what, why don't we just try attacking Athens directly, the city, and we'll do it by our ships. So the Persians on the plains of Marathon, they load up the cavalry, which is the horsemen, and they're the strongest cavalry unit, army unit. So they load up all their horsemen and they load them up on the ships, and now they're selling them over more towards Athens. And that was a big mistake because they just put the strongest part of their army on the ships, in which the Greeks, the Athenians, they saw what they did and they moved on that. So they just trounced them. They ran down the hills and they started attacking. And a lot of the soldiers, the infantry soldiers, weren't ready weren't prepared, didn't even have any kind of military strategy to defend this, and they were easily defeated. And this led a great victory for Greece. The person a messenger was sent to Athens to run back, and obviously the battle marathon, we call a marathon. The length that the kid ran, um, he is it's probably about 25 miles, they say, but we have a marathon now. It's 26 point something miles. I can't remember. And the story goes that once he got to the city, he collapses, and before he dies, right there on the spot, he proclaims victory, and that's the way it went. So Persia is a powerful empire, and they're not going to take that easily. So they're going to come after them again. So 10 years later, Darius' son Xerxes comes after them, and this is going to. They saw that they didn't have enough naval support, the Persians, so they're going to bring more navy this time, 10 years later. And this is going to cause Sparta and Athens to put their odds, they're hating each other aside, and they're going to go after. Spartans going to go after them because they're the strongest army. The Athenians are going to use their navy, which is the best in the around. So the Spartans were holding back the Persians through war and strategy. The Persians found a Greek traitor to help them attack the Spartans from behind at Thermopylae. So we have King Leonidas, when he realized that they were betrayed and that the Persians weren't coming through exactly where they thought they were, he sent a lot of his soldiers away to safety. But he retained 300 Spartans, and they were the best and the strongest and the people he probably felt the closest to, even, I don't know. He fought the Persians to the death. They held off the Persians long enough for the Athenians to assemble 200 ships and to counterattack. So that Battle of 300, it really did make a significant um, turning point in this war, and that the 300, although they were all wiped out, it was a suicide mission. They sacrificed themselves, and in the process, they destroyed, I think it was like 30,000 soldiers or so, which I don't know if it was the 300 alone. It could have been the other soldiers that Leonidas sent away that later attacked as well. But anyway, just a very inspiring story. So we had the Battle of Salamis. So shortly after Thermopylae that we just discussed, the Athenians now they're getting ready for their battle by ships, and they are taking and bringing the Persians into a snare. The Persians are going to be coming in this way. The Athenians are going to wait for them. Once they come in, they're going to push them up and try to give them no way to back out, which is going to lead to an Athenian victory. And we have the Battle of Plataea. Now, this is the last battle in the Persian War. All the Greeks joined together. They had to. The Persians had already sacked Athens and burnt the city pretty much to the ground. This led a lot of Greek city states to wake up and say, we better take care of these people or our city states will be next. And so the Greeks joined together, put their differences aside. They fight at Plataea, and victory is finally won, and the Greeks protect their homeland. The Persians are going to retreat. They are never again going to try to attack Greece. They are struggling with problems in their own. So, what caused the Persian Empire to fall, except for losing to Greece? Um, Persia remained an empire for well, I should say over nearly 150 years after they retreated from Greece. Um, the Persian Empire experienced many internal problems. One, they just had out of control spending. The royal courts, the kings, all the nobles in the courtyard of the king, they just spent way too much, and they just got deeper and deeper into debt. Not a good thing. The rulers raised taxes on the people. Why? Because they had out of control spending. Interesting. They spend too much. Well, we need more money, so let's just take it from the people. The people say, ho ho, no, that's not fair. And they start rebelling and uprising. And that caused some major problems. And to top it all off, the Persians had a lot of wives, which I should say Persian kings had a lot of wives, which means they had a lot of posterity, sons and daughters. So there were lots of sons who would vie for the throne because their father was the king. Never mind if they're the first or second or third kid, they didn't care. Their father was the king, so they have a lot of offspring, and you have them fighting and killing each other for the throne. And a lot of insurrection like that just leads to a lot of confusion, which weakens the empire, which is going to leave the way to a man by the name of Alexander the Great to clobber them and to take an end finally to the Persian Empire. So that is the end. Everyone, go ahead and write your one-page summary. I look forward to seeing you at the first of the week, and we'll see you then. Bye bye.